We don't want to be accused of like getting Betty Boop wrong. I wish there was like a really fascinating story behind Betty's Divine. Sadly, there's not. The best I can say where that came from in my brain is, I was born in the 70s and growing up in the 80s and 90s, like Betty was like constantly a feminine presence in like pop culture. Whether it be like the surf movies, like Gidget that I used to watch with my grandma. I think of like Paul Simon and his songs. I think of like skater chicks, as like in the 90s. I met a Canadian who said that like the ladies that like were best friends with all the gay dudes were called Betties. Like it's just like what is it? Is it like that cool girl, like that sporty, athletic, kind of West Coast vibey girl, So Betty was just a name that I felt like embodied so much of what I always wanted to be and would try to be with clothing. Not Betty Boop and not, I guess Betty Page, that's not entirely true because there is like such a vintage style, that we nod to. So I guess Betty Page, but not Betty Boop. Why not Betty Boop, Sam? There might be that one with Betty Boop. I think it's that so many people kind of assumed it over the years, and like I have like a cupboard of like Betty Boop coffee mugs and things that like customers bring. It's so sweet and so wonderful, and I just don't have it in me to be like, not Betty Boop. But why? Yeah, what's my beef with Betty Boop? I apparently have it. Let's dissect this. Like, what was Betty Boop saying? To me, she was like voluptuous, but like delicate, and like, am I right? Thinking that? And like, we're just not about that kind of, we're into really strong feminine voices, and so maybe it's that. We don't know enough about Betty Boop to talk about her. Oh, but here's what I would say, because so many people are like, you must be Betty. And then my whole thing was like, no, you're Betty. It's like everyone that shops here. So like when we like talk, when we send out stuff to our customers, we're like, hey, Betties. It's the community of people. So that was the story I came up with. Betty, I think, is interesting when you look at that. Betty is an iconic kind of classic woman, like almost a grandma too, like you can think of voluptuous Betty, but I also think of grandma. And like my grandma was a huge inspiration for me, like for fashion. And my grandma's not Betty, she's Peggy. I should have called her Peggy's Divine. But going back, so Betty, yes, grandma, feminine, but then Divine was this like really iconic, like John Waters actress and actor who, Pink Flamingo was something I saw along, and it so upset me and excited me that it really had an effect. And Divine was like, one of the really, and at least in my brain, like the first like transgendered cross-dressing star, that just owned it all, Divine had a shop called Divine Trash. And Divine Trash was where Divine sold their costumes from movies that were typically like insane over-the-top dresses in large sizes, because Divine is, a large man. So when you put Betty's Divine together, if we're really gonna like analyze, like we're in a word class, in an English class, I would think it would be like the classic feminine, and then feminine going forward, where like the definition of a woman can also be a man. It could be anything.